All right, and welcome back to episode 21 of the TV show podcast, guys. That our podcast is old enough to drink, finally. I mean, if you judge by weeks, I don't know how.
Yay! We're legal.
I'm joined, as always, by Rhea Hughes and Angelo Cataldi, and we got Jennifer Story, who is a longtime fan of the show. I opened up the YouTube comments and said, if there's anything you want us to review, please put it in there. And I got the strangest request for a review. If you would have given me 300 chances to choose what she would have asked for, I would have never thought Barney Miller would show up in the review quest. Not only is that show is older than I am. It is a 47-year-old top TV show. 1975 is when it started. And apparently it's all on Prime. She said Apple TV. I looked on Apple TV, didn't see it there. But I went to Amazon Prime and checked out a couple of the episodes. Before I get into it, did you guys watch Barney Miller when it first ran?
Absolutely.
Rhea, you watched it? You would have been like 4.
I must have seen it on reruns because I loved it. Was that the one with Fish with Abe Vigoda?
Abe Vigoda, yeah. Got 2 seasons of a spinoff.
Yes. So I definitely saw it. Maybe I saw it on reruns, but I loved it.
I got to tell you, Abe Vigoda's eyebrows should be in the Smithsonian. That guy had some the caterpillars up there. Yeah. I remember Barney Miller when I was real little as the show that I would watch when I had to watch it because nothing else was on. Because I just remember in my head it looking ugly. Yeah. It was not a good looking show. It kind of fell under that umbrella of like Welcome Back, Kotter. Mm-hmm. And like the city kind of show.
A little seedy.
Yeah. And just dirty sets. I mean, it was shot in LA, but they tried to make it look like New York. And I think everybody in LA just figures New York looks like, a garage set. And I guess 1975 New York, that's like US to New York drop dead. I mean, that's like right in the midst of like New York going bankrupt and it looking terrible. I watched a few episodes. It was fantastic. I loved it.
I remembered it being great.
They don't make TV like that anymore. Like literally, they don't make it like that. But it was built as a stage play. And, it's not like a 3-camera sitcom is today where, it's a collection of scenes that's filmed in front of a live audience. This is like single area. They don't cut. There's like maybe an office that they go to, but they don't go back out of the precinct. It's all in the precinct. And it's a 3-act play on television. Episodes were longer back then, 25 minutes an episode versus like 19 or 20 today. And they just played out. And it's not as many jokes as there is in a sitcom today because you have to wait for the studio audience to laugh before you can tell another joke. So it's fewer jokes. Hal Linden is unbelievable as Barney Miller. Just a great actor, had a presence. I was shocked in a good way at how ethnic it was. And
what's the thing, Jay? That's what I want to mention. Talk about before your time. Ron Glass, black detective there, a Jack Sue, Asian guy, right?
Yep.
They had diversity before anybody considered diversity. Right. It's brilliantly written. And that show, you cannot find another show from the 70s that will stand up the way Barney Miller will 50 years later. You won't. You can't find one. It was amazing.
And diversity, Angelo, in a way that was there but didn't call attention to it.
No,
it seemed normal. It seemed totally normal. Yes.
It's New York. Of course, there's going to be different ethnicities. Yes. They make jokes about the ethnicities. There's Jewish jokes, there's Puerto Rican jokes, there's black jokes, but they're all friends. And it doesn't feel like anybody's punching down. It just feels like if you were with a group of people, these are the jokes you would make to your friends. And it was just beautifully done. I don't think you could do it today. The cop angle, you probably couldn't do one way or the other. I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine probably.
That was what I thought was the closest to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the way they tackled it, the specificity of the area and the time, and just Hal Linden's performance as a Jewish police captain in New York City, it was just phenomenal. If you are looking for a way to have some fun, Amazon Prime. Most of you have Amazon Prime. I urge you to check it out. Really, really good. And thank you, Jennifer Story, for the suggestion because it was great. All right, so Rhea, we talked about this, and you said Teen Corner. Maybe we'll do our retro TV perspective, combine it with Teen Corner, because you said this summer you discovered a show with your, well, you didn't discover it, you exposed your son to a show. And what show was that?
Yeah, Clark found a clip. You know, he watches YouTube all the time, which, you know, all teenagers do. He found a clip of Brady Bunch, and he said, "Did you ever watch it?" And I said, "Of course I watched it. I mean, it debuted when I was a baby, so it debuted in 1969, and I remember growing up watching it with my brothers and sisters. I forget, it was on like 6 or 7 years, but so we watched it together, and he absolutely loved it.
Really?
Because, well, the stories with the kids, the kid problems are not really all that different. You know, it's the younger one. It reminded me of my family a little bit, that, you know, all the kids, you know, I had 2 sisters and 3 brothers, and then my mom got remarried when I was 10, and he brought his 3 sons into the mix. So I grew up in a blended family.
Wow.
So it was maybe that's why it spoke to me. But Clark thought, and you know who he loved the most? And I didn't realize how brilliant she was in it. Ann B. Davis, Alice.
Yeah.
Alice is
Great.
absolutely phenomenal. The way she plays her role, she's always kind of like the neutral person. And I loved it. The crazy thing is, it's not as wholesome as we remember. There was some racy stuff in it. I decided to go back last night and watch the very first episode to see how it kind of started. They're talking, Mike and Carol are on the phone talking about getting married, and that he's so anxious. And she goes, "Well, why don't you just take a tranquilizer or 2?" And I'm going, you know, nobody talked about that stuff you thought back in the 60s. But, you know, and there were there was one neighbor who was always trying to hook up with any man who would came, and she loved to have her drinks in.
Sure.
But it was just, I loved it. He loved it because it was kind of relatable to him, just the teenager stuff that they kind of went through. Here's what's interesting about it. Did you know there were always scenes in the bathroom, right? With the kids in the bathroom, the Jack and Jill bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
There's no toilet in it.
What?
It was considered crude in the 70s to have a toilet. So, because I was sitting there watching it, and I go, "There's no toilet." So I watched a couple of episodes, and I go, well, and then I looked it up. It was never very highly rated, believe it or not. It only ever reached number 34, but its demographic were huge with young kids. Kids absolutely loved it. Joe Namath starred in it. They did the famous 3-episode or 4-episode arc out in Hawaii, but we both really liked it. And, you know, he found it fun. I found it fun to watch through parent eyes now, that I was more relating to the parents than I was to the kids. So it was kind of fun. You can watch it. There's a bunch of places you can watch it on. Pluto is free, but it's frustrating. There's entirely too many commercials. But if you want free, that's you have to do it. It's on YouTube. It's on Paramount. It's on Roku. 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. I looked it up. I said, I'm going to see if it's actually rated. But, you know, we both really enjoyed it.
Brady Bunch is a show that I don't know if shows like this happen anymore. The Odd Couple was another version of this. Gilligan's Island was another version. Shows that were never big hits in their network run, but became staples of reruns after school. I remember TBS used to run back-to-back Brady Bunch every day after school. Fox 29 had them for a while. Star Trek is another one. 3 episodes, never highly rated, 3 seasons, never highly rated, became cultural institutions via reruns. I don't think that happens anymore.
No, it doesn't.
And used to.
And I will tell you who's a really good follow on Twitter. Maureen McCormick, obviously, who played Marcia. I somehow she wound up on my timeline. She's fun. She's like exactly what you think, you know, maybe grown-up Marcia would have turned into. Still really cute as a button. And just really fun. She has an older brother, Denny, who's special needs. So she's huge into Special Olympics. Wow. She's always posting videos of her and her brother. Like, I still love Marcia. And it was just, you know, it really does kind of bring you back to your childhood.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure that there's a Jan Twitter feed that just subtweets Marcia harsh about how terrible she is.
Probably. She actually did well in the real estate market. She bought with like one of her first checks. she bought a house like on the beach, I believe in Malibu, and then sold it years later for a boatload of money.
Buy
So.
real estate. If anything you get
Yes.
once upon a time in Hollywood, buy real estate.
Yes.
All right, Angela, what was your retro TV show?
Well, the thing is, what I learned from this exercise is that the golden age of TV was not all that golden. That it actually, there's a lot of garbage, right? And a lot of it did not hold up from the 60s and the 70s. The show that will always hold up for me, and I will still watch an episode from time to time. You know, it hasn't been on the air in over 30 years in any form. And if I sing you the theme song, you'll know it immediately. Twilight
Batman.
Zone. Rod Serling was an amazing narrator. The shows, you know what's fun about going back and watching them? You are seeing movie stars before they were movie stars.
Yeah.
Now they have literally had their entire movie career and are dead. And they still, these people are big famous names. William Shatner, Burgess Meredith, people that really got their first big role on the Twilight Zone. And the stories always had a great twist. It lasted a long time. Guys, like your shows, wasn't a huge hit. Kept coming back. They did reboots of it several times, but in its own time, I don't even think it was a top 20 show, but it's great because it's classic. It holds up after all these years.
I thought you were singing the Batman theme.
Oh, really?
No lie. Yes.
Wait a minute.
But no,
I don't know. I tell you, Rhea, the brain doesn't work quite as well. It might have been Batman.
No,
there's an episode that has always stuck with me from that, and that was one that I definitely saw in reruns. But it's the one where the woman's in the hospital and everybody thinks she's a freak, but they all have pig faces and she's normal.
Rhea, that's the woman who played in the Beverly Hillbillies.
No way.
When they finally unmask her face at the end, it's Donna Douglas who played Ellie Mae Clampett in the Beverly Hillbillies.
That's crazy.
No, that is a great episode. There were so many great ones.
I think, Angelo, it speaks to how good Rod Serling was that they have tried to reboot it three separate times. The latest time with Jordan Peele, who is no slouch.
No.
Never, ever, something about that guy. He smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day, drank like a fish, just sat in a room. You could just smell him. You could just look, you could picture smoking cigarettes, drinking scotch, and writing, 30 of the episodes every season. Just a phenomenal show.
Great.
Yeah, really, really good. So 3 great ones you can check out. Jennifer, thank you for the suggestion. Anybody that's watching this on YouTube or listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please tweet at us or comment underneath the YouTube video. We love watching TV. So if you give us a suggestion, we'll watch it and enjoy it. Now, speaking to something that no one is watching is apparently Peacock. I don't know if you guys saw the Comcast earnings report. I'm a nerd. So I try to follow these things as closely as possible. Peacock lost $1 billion.
Wow.
Last quarter. It has 20 million subscribers, which isn't terrible. It's a tenth of what Netflix is doing, and they feel like they're in trouble. It's growing. It's not growing super fast. The amount of money that they're putting into it is a lot. What they're getting out isn't huge. The only real hit they have is they signed this weird deal with Paramount where they get the first 4 seasons of Yellowstone. So if you want to watch Yellowstone, you can watch the later seasons on Paramount. You got to get Peacock for that. They spent a lot of money to get The Office, which nobody really came over from Netflix to watch The Office. It proved what I thought at the time, which is people will watch what's on Netflix as a comfort food, but they're not going to seek out their comfort foods. So The Verge had a story on it this week, and they said of the major streamers, this is probably the first that is either going to go or merge. And I was curious about your take on it. Do you guys watch Peacock?
Not too much.
I don't like it. I saw one show I liked on it called Angeline. It was really an interesting show about a woman who became famous in Hollywood for no good reason. Yeah, a very attractive woman. That was a pretty good show. I don't like Peacock because it appears anything I get with commercials. Maybe I'm not on the right level of it.
Go up a tier. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not going to do it. I don't think Peacock is probably at the bottom of my pecking order for streamers. I don't like it.
Same with me. I'm not really anything that I know that I've gone to for it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a signature show. I like it for SNL, but you can get SNL on YouTube, which is how my kids watch it. So,
Yeah.
the next day, most people are watching on YouTube. It doesn't seem to have a signature show. Although I will say, I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch. I talked about Poker Face. Did you guys watch Poker Face?
No, I didn't see it.
I did, and I love Natasha Lyonne. I thought she's great. The girl that's with her in the first episode was also in the prison show they did, Orange is the New Black, right?
Yes.
But I thought that was a really good episode. I was annoyed I had to do the commercials. I started the second one, and I went, I'm out.
Yeah.
Every show is self-contained. I like more of a carryover. It's weird.
Yes.
I've been retrained by streaming, where self-contained shows don't work for me as well. I like a story that keeps going, and they close out each show at the end of the episode, and I'm not going back. I saw one. I kind of liked it. I liked Adrian Brody in it. He's the son.
Adrian Brody was great. I loved him.
He was really good in it. And the way things ended for him was fascinating. It was really a cool thing.
Yeah.
But I'm finding more and more when streamers come out with a new show, they put a lot into the pilot. The pilot's really good, and then it doesn't hold up. And it didn't hold up for me in the second episode, so I'm out.
It's interesting. It's kind of the opposite as the way networks used to do it. The pilot was usually the worst of the show, because it's just sort of like, hey, let's see if it works. And then if they pick it up, it goes a little different. 2 points. One, Adrian Brody, his second life as a scumbag is great.
Oh, he's good, man.
He is so good as the oily guy. I didn't like him in his first round when he was trying to be a hero in movies and stuff. But this second run of his as Slimeball Adrian Brody, give me as much as possible. He's fantastic.
Good stuff.
Secondly, I enjoyed it as well. It's Ryan Johnson, who did Glass Onion, and is a director. He's the person behind the show. They're putting a ton of money into it because they do think this is their only real hope of breaking out. It felt like a little bit like, what if Columbo was a woman? A little bit.
I love that.
Well, the idea that she knows unequivocally when you're lying, that's fascinating. There's a lot you can do with that, and she's terrific. I love her. But I don't know. It's just this. I started on the second one, and then I went to commercial, and I lost interest.
That's the pull quote.
Yep.
Angelo Cataldi saw the first episode, liked it. Second episode, I was out after the commercial. All right, so let's hop into British Corner. What do you got this week, Rhea?
So I just want to mention, I did get the email from the gentleman who had some recommendations for me. I am going to do Grantchester. That was one of the ones he recommended, but I was already in the middle of this other one, watching it because season 2 had come out. So I'm going to do Grantchester next week, and I already let him know that. But I'm doing Slow Horses, which is on Apple TV.
Love it.
Absolutely phenomenal. It's a spy thriller basically, and it's a guy, Gary Oldman, who's a phenomenal actor. He's been in everything you've seen. He actually won Best Actor for his portrayal of Winston Churchill in Darkest Hour. He's been in The Professional, the Harry Potter trilogy, Dark Knight. His films have grossed over $11 billion. So he's one of the highest in the world, but he plays an old school agent who runs Slow House. And what Slow House is, where MI5 agents, which are equivalent to national security agents here in the US, where they get sent to if they've screwed up in their jobs, but not screwed up enough that they get fired. So they're kind of shuffled off to this house where they get really terrible assignments. Right. So it comes through that, and Kristen Scott Thomas is in it. She plays his nemesis at the main part of MI5, and they're brilliant together. They both despise each other, and it's phenomenal. But it's the kidnapping of a young Muslim man. It's conspiracy. But what I love about it is it's dark, but it's comedic. Gary Oldman is so brilliant in this. He looks like he hasn't showered in weeks. He farts. I mean, he smokes
what?
incessantly. Oh, goodness. But here's what you just said about.
How do I want to miss that? Rhea?
Oh, yeah. No, it's actually like he's just such a pig, but he's such an old school, you know, he knows all the spy stuff. So season 1 got a 97% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I loved it. Okay. Season 2 comes out, rated higher than season 1.
Wow.
It's impossible to think it's that much better. 100% by critics, 96% by audience. This one, it's basically an old spy gets killed, and Gary Oldman is going about trying to find him. The opening scene is so incredible. Phil Davis is a longtime actor in Britain. Has been in a lot of shows that I've liked. He does the opening 10 minutes and never speaks in it. It turns out he's an old spy, and he runs a sex shop. So there's some interesting things in the first scene. But he spots a Russian spy, and he starts to follow him. The first 10 minutes is just him following this guy through London proper, like downtown London. So you get a real look at what downtown London looks like, not out in the country in a village and all that kind of stuff. He never speaks in it, and it's brilliantly portrayed. So I love it. It splinters
What's the name again? And
it's called Slow Horses.
Slow
Yeah,
Horses.
Apple TV. It's a spy thriller, and I will just tell you, it is so well acted. But there's comedy in it. It's not just all dark and whatnot. But Gary Oldman, absolutely fantastic in it.
All right, could you tell us around where Gary Oldman farts? In case
Oh my God! Oh, no, it's like part of it. Like he'll be in a meeting with one of his underlings, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my God!" His name's Jackson Lamb. It's, you know, he's got a great line in it that I love. Like something happens to one of his guys, and everybody's like, "What do you care? You hate them anyway." And he goes, "They're a bunch of effing losers, but they're my effing losers." So
that's entertainment, right?
Yeah,
there.
it's I'm telling you, you would love it. But I mean, this is a case where season 2 is better than season 1, and season 1 was great.
I follow a lot of like U.S. intelligence guys on Twitter, and they all love the show. Like, so that to me is like, you know, if there's a sports show that all of the athletes enjoy, it's probably pretty good.
Have you seen season 2 yet?
I've not. I love season
You'll love
1.
it.
I'm saving season 2 for the next cruise that I'm subjected to. I mean, that I get to go on.
Yes.
That'll be my in-house entertainment. Angela, what do you have for us this week?
I now would like to completely contradict something I said 5 minutes ago about self-contained episodes. Not only that, but I'm going to recommend something on broadcast television. Network.
Wow.
What?
And yes, I am. And it's called Accused. It just came out on Fox. And the thing about it is I watched the first episode because I totally love Michael Chiklis.
Yes.
I loved him in The Shield. The Shield was one of my all-time favorite TV shows, and I thought he was in every episode. He was in one. The pilot, and they promoted the heck out of it.
I saw the promos.
And I watched it, and it was really good because there's a moment when he's about to kill his own son.
Oh my God.
It's ripped from the headlines. It's really good. The second one wasn't as good, but it was still strong. I'm in it. Each episode totally starts from scratch and takes you inside a legal case. It starts in court, then it takes you, it flashes back, and it hooked me. And I also want to honor the performance of a man in a TV show called Your Honor, and I believe that is on HBO, right? And Bryan Cranston's the main star in it. He overacts beyond belief in this. You are not going to like him in this. He's an overact.
Really?
He was so great in Breaking Bad. Obviously, he had a better director than he has now because he overacts. But again, we brought this guy up before, Jay. Michael Stolbart, right? The guy from Dope Sick, who was
one of the big guys with Big Pharma. He is a mobster in this, and he's great. Oh my God! And he's so good that you want to watch it just for him. That guy plays mostly heavies, and he's probably the best heavy in television right now. Michael Stolbart, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, and that's the reason to watch Your Honor. Otherwise, I'm done. Just going back to Michael Chiklis for a second. in the history of final episodes
Oh,
of
the
TV
best.
series, it's up there, isn't it? Oh, The
Oh,
Shield.
phenomenal. The Shield. If you have never seen that, please check it out. It is so good. And it's good all 7 seasons.
All 7
And
seasons.
it sticks the landing like nothing. I
Yeah.
think it's the best ending ever. And I just binged Seinfeld, and I still can't believe how bad their last episode
Terrible.
is. But this nailed it. It just nailed it. It didn't
Absolutely.
try too hard.
What
No,
was interesting about Michael Chiklis wasn't he in like a family-friendly show
Commish.
right before? Yes, that's it. Before, so it was so startling to see him in The Shield because
Yeah,
it was so different.
Yeah,
Tough to wait.
he took on the John Belushi role in a very controversial. It was a remake of the book, and
Why?
Belushi taking drugs, and a lot of people hated him for that. He was
Wow.
blacklisted for a while. He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And in The Accused, if you don't watch anymore, the pilot is really, really good because of him. He's not in any other episodes. I'm not sure I'm going back.
So wrapping up, I just wanted to bring up a movie that I watched on Peacock, actually. And I'm surprised because Angelo in our email was like, Jay, I could only get through 20 minutes and I was out. I absolutely loved it. I know. There's a movie called Tar, starring Kate Blanchett.
Okay.
It was in theaters. She's nominated for the Oscar for this. She's got to win it. I don't know how anybody could have been better than her in this complicated role. She plays a conductor who is a lesbian and who has been, we don't know for sure, but it certainly seems like abusing young women that work for her.
Oh, geez.
Well, like just the way men would in a similar.
Oh, okay,
situation.
gotcha.
Not like little girls. We're talking like 20-something young women, and it plays with the idea of a lesbian doing it just as bad,
Gotcha.
but people react to her differently than they react to the men who have done exactly the same thing. Talks a lot about cancel culture. Talks, and I'm putting quotes around cancel culture, but this idea of, can you separate the art and artist? Are we able to? Early on, there's a great scene where she's talking to a group of Juilliard students, and one of them is a boy that will not watch or do anything by Beethoven, because Beethoven, or maybe it was Bach, I forget, because he was such a terrible white cis male. And she goes through listing, the terrible things that some of the women that he likes have done. And it's like, is that any better? Is that any different? Can you separate art and artist? Anyhow, I really enjoyed it. But Angelo, you said,
Jay, hold on. Jay, we have never had a big fight on this show.
There we go.
Movie absolutely stinks. All right. My wife has actually just walked in. Hon, we watched the first 20 minutes of Tar. Remember that? How bad was that?
The credits.
It was awful. It starts with the credits, Rhea.
Yeah.
The credits go on for about 7 minutes, right?
Okay.
And she just said that's the best part. Jay, you have never been more wrong about anything than you are that. Rhea, so first you get the whole credits, like it's at the end of the movie. And then there's a scene on a stage with a pompous interviewer and this obnoxious woman who's the conductor.
Okay.
Rhea, you got to get 25 minutes into the show before there's anything but the credits or her on stage giving boring answers to stupid questions.
I wouldn't laugh.
Jay, you got to be people. If there's any feedback, would you tell Jay he's out of his friggin' mind? This thing is brutal. It's Rhea. It's so, please, Rhea, just to break the tie for next week.
All right, I will do that.
Watch the first
I will
few minutes.
Yes.
I guarantee you, I know you well, Rhea, you will not get past the interview on the stage. You will not.
I'm going to time myself to see how long I last.
No,
Not only did I love the interview, Angela, if there was outtakes of
my God.
I'd watch
You're
the outtakes.
nuts. Jay, it's awful. Jay, how dare you? You've lost all credibility. It stinks.
She's going to win the Oscar, and it will be deserved. She was phenomenal.
Do you want to know why she's going to win an Oscar?
Yeah.
Because of the role she's playing and a conductor.
Yep.
two things. You could if you said, "Hey, this movie's about a conductor," I glaze over, and then I'm on to something else.
Yeah, I'm winning this one. Wait till you see this god. Oh my God.
Wait,
Jay,
do I have to pay? Do I have to pay for Peacock to get it?
I think
No.
you can probably get it for free.
No, believe me, Rhea, if anybody had to pay a nickel, they wouldn't say it. It stinks. All right, let me go through this.
Yes.
We got Brady Bunch, Barney Miller's on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Brady Bunch is on Paramount Plus and a whole bunch of others. Twilight Zone is on YouTube and a whole bunch of others. Poker Face is on Peacock. Slow Horse is high recommendation, Apple TV. Accused is on Fox. Your Honor is on HBO. And don't watch Tar on It's awful.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Next week, we're doing a best of episode. You're going to hear the best of because we have big news coming. And we're going to talk about that later on. So thank you so much, Angelo and Rhea. See you guys next week.